Suziey is the founder of Mumbloom, a startup she launched while on maternity leave, mostly from her phone and often while walking her baby.
After a decade in brand communications at a global company, she found herself deep in the newborn trenches and struck by a simple but powerful realisation. Mums don't need more stuff, they need real support.
Honestly, this is really what I want as a gift, and it is a genuine gift to me to have a clean house or like some help with the washing or whatever.
Yeah, it's mental clarity, that gift, isn't it?
Exactly. Mumbloom is an online marketplace where people can gift mums practical, meaningful services from cleaning and food to well-being treatments, making motherhood just that little bit easier.
I think the difference between people who have very successful businesses and where it doesn't work is confidence, believing in what you're doing, taking every opportunity and looking for every opportunity, and then just having some resilience and persistence to keep going with it.
In this episode, Suziey shares the reality of building a business alongside a baby, navigating maternity leave and returning to work, and why confidence, conviction, and sticking power matter more than having it all figured out.
I had like the world's suckiest pregnancy, and I was miserable for quite a lot of it. But I would also tell anyone, even at the time, that I loved pregnancy. And it's so hard to reconcile those two things because
it's like your hormones are going, you love this, you love this, you'll do it again one day, you'll love this.
Thank you so much for being here. It's amazing to have you as a guest.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah.
It's great to be here.
Would you like to start off by just giving us a bit of an intro to who you are and what you do?
Yes. Okay. So I'm Suziey, and I started a business called Mumbloom about, I don't know how many months ago now, on maternity leave this year. So it's only been going 9 or 10 months so far. And it's basically a marketplace where you can gift mothers services that actually help.
Love that.
And it came out of my own need because I think my baby was maybe like 3 or 4 months old and I was just like in the thick of it. I've been quite lucky in some ways that I do have lots of help at home that I know lots of people don't, but I also have like a proper Velcro baby and 2 stepsons as well who are awesome, but life is just a lot. And it was a bit like, holy hell, I did not realise this was all going to be this hard. And at the same time, you've got all these lovely people who want to help and all these lovely people who want to give you gifts.
Yeah.
And then someone had given me a face mask, which I almost don't want to kind of say publicly because it was such a sweet, thoughtful gift from such a lovely person. And it sits on the shelf in my bathroom, like taunting me, like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to use this?
Yeah, when are you going to get some time?
Yeah, and like all I want is for someone to come and clean my house or bring me some food or just like some time to myself. So I just kind of thought, wouldn't that be like an interesting thing to actually be able to gift someone? And maybe if you could give a gift card where someone can go and choose that for themselves. So that's basically what I've made.
Amazing.
Is this gift card where you go online, you're like, right, what help do I need? I'm going to get that.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's such a
Everyone
nice idea.
wants a cleaner for a day, don't they?
Oh my
They're not going to
goodness.
have one all the time maybe, but like, you're like, oh, I just want someone to clean my house.
Yeah. And I think people, especially people who aren't mothers, maybe underestimate how nice that is because I know it sounds like kind of a practical, boring thing to give as a gift. But I genuinely, it's like for me, that's a luxury. And that is so much more of a luxury than like so many physical things that you could give me.
Yeah.
So I think that's the bit that's kind of hard to communicate that like, honestly, this is really what I want as a gift. And it is a genuine gift to me to have a clean house or like some help with the washing or whatever.
Yeah, it's mental clarity, that gift, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's literally just like taking something out of your brain when like the hardest thing in life is your brain just being packed full to bursting.
Yeah.
It's like, great, we'll have one of those things. Thanks.
I imagine it's quite an educational piece actually to like have the conversation with people and make them realise that don't default to buying flowers or another baby blanket or whatever the usual gifts are that you get all the time, but actually give these practical gifts because people want them, mums want them, mums need them.
So true. And like it's interesting when we're like thinking about our marketing, I have to properly segment people because you speak to mothers who might be buying for themselves or buying for other mothers and it instantly like, yes, I get it. And then of course you speak to like maybe the friends who haven't had kids, and I was definitely one of them who were like, okay, I'm going to give you like a load of chocolates or something, which don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind. But I would have no idea that these would be the gifts that someone wants. But I do also find, that even other mums, when they think that that's a gift for themselves, still have this like little hurdle in their mind. They're like, oh, a gift card's a bit of a cop out or it's too practical or something. Like we do have this real resistance, I think, to like giving something that's not a thing. But more and more we hear people saying, I want an experience. I don't want clutter. I don't want something that is going to give me an extra job or something that is going to go to waste. So I definitely think a lot of the mothers I speak to are like, yes, this is what I want.
Yeah, definitely. I think the gift card cop-out is people think you're not putting thought into it. Yeah. But actually something like that is so thoughtful because of what you can then use it.
That's totally it. Like if an Amazon gift card or something is just like, I'm giving you a token, and like there might be an occasion where that is appropriate. But I think you're totally right. It's just about the thought behind it, isn't it?
Amazing. Yeah. And do you have an employed job as well? Is that right?
Yeah. My goodness.
You crazy woman.
I know. Yeah. I like my brain is just it's packed at the moment. So I went back to work in like about 3 months ago now. And to be fair, my employer has been so awesome. I also have like a really fun job to go back to. So I work in communications at quite a big company, and it is just a nice job, but it's not an unstressful job. So what I find really hard now is just like the switching context all the time and trying to flip between the two.
Wearing
like,
two hats.
Yeah, obviously like there's a time constraint, but there always has been because my baby never had any chill and never really gave me time to do it. So it was always like in bed on my phone or whatever anyway. So I'm not even sure I've lost that much time from going back to work. It's just that like my brain sometimes feels like it's about to explode now.
And is that a full-time job?
I'm still part-time at the moment. I've kind of been working my way back up. So this like my employer has been so good about it because I've had a ton of holiday and they've said it's fine, like spread it out.
Wow.
So I'm doing 3 days a week at the moment, spread out over 4 so I can do short days. And there've been days where I'm like, he's sick, so I'll just not do today but do tomorrow. Or even last week he wasn't sick for the first time in ages, and there was a virus going around the nursery, so I was like, I don't really want him to go into nursery. So I was able to keep him off for a couple of days and then kind of make up the work later. So it is like, I think of Evie, you've got as a guest either before or after this, who is talks about this a lot, but that flexibility makes such a difference.
Yeah, it really does.
It does. And having that trust from your employer to, have that make it work for you and work when you need to and be at home when you need to.
Yeah. I think, just knowing it's about like, if you have that trust that you're going to get your job done and you're not kind of going in with, and it's one of the tricky bits actually of like having a job on the side, I guess, or like that, if your business knows you have your own business that is outside of work, I don't want to keep that secret, but also I do have to be clear that when I'm at work, I'm at work and I have to be all there. But it's great to have the trust of your employer then to know that you are going to do your job. And it might just be at slightly different times or in a slightly different way.
So what does a typical day look like for you? Is there a typical day?
Honestly, I'm not sure there is. I kind of suck at routine anyway, honestly. And I'd say my baby does, but that's probably my fault. So at the moment, he's quite often in bed with me at night. So if he's still sleeping in the morning, I am not waking that child up. So I'll kind of be lying there on my phone like, no one move. We kind of get out as quick as you can. And usually I will spend kind of at the moment, it's like a 6-hour-ish day in the office while he's at nursery. And the trouble is I could leave him at nursery longer. He could be there till 6, but also it's such a big change going from being with him all the time on maternity leave to then suddenly it's like 10-hour days at nursery. I'm like, that's a long time for me to be like, even like his sort of feelings aside, I'm like, for me, that's hard
it is.
Just to be separated.
I think when
like
they're
that.
at nursery and they're there till 6, you literally pick them up and then you're putting them to bed. They fall asleep in the car a lot of the time. So you go from seeing them all the time to never seeing them really, other than weekends.
Yeah, so I felt like it's just too big a shift. So I do try and pick him up a bit earlier, but I always try and time it so I've kind of got an hour in between and it's like, right, quick, can I get done in that hour? And so what I usually try and do is have in my mind, like, what's kind of the one thing that I'm going to work on today. And I'm lucky I've got an amazing assistant who just works a little bit every week, who also will just like work on a bit of marketing or something and keep things going. So I know that if I've got a week where I'm actually not able to do as much as I wanted on Mum Bloom, then like stuff is still moving.
Yeah, got a bit of backup.
So that's really helpful. But the other part of it at the moment is it started quite small. I'm like hoping to get it into a scalable position. But at the moment, it's still working out exactly quite candidly, I don't think the positioning is spot on right now. So a lot of it is work on that. So it does mean I'm not having to, quite honestly, I don't have like 200 orders to send out every night. So I'm not like, I don't have a huge time burden on that. A lot of the time I am able to spend working on the business, and a lot of my focus is how can I get it into a scalable position? How can I get it into an investable position? And because a lot of the work is on the business, it is kind of at my own pace. And, you know, if there's weeks where stuff just doesn't happen, you know, I don't have to stay up till 2 a.m. trying to do it. It's like, you know what, we're just going to try and do it next week.
So how do you, in your mind, how do you kind of split the work between your job and Mum Bloom, and then looking after your little one and looking after the other two? And how do you find time for yourself in all of that?
So one thing I will say is it's not the only thing for myself, but I do feel like Mum Bloom actually has sort of been for myself in a way, especially during maternity leave and like the first year with my little boy, when I just didn't get time for anything at all. And like, he would not be apart from me. And like, I would try and go to fitness class and stuff, the ones where you could take your baby.
Oh, yes.
And and it was such fun, but I'd see all the other lovely babies playing on the floor next to their mums working out. And my little boy was like, no, we're not doing this. Pick me up.
Always in a carrier?
So, do you know what? I would put him in the carrier sometimes. I think his thing is he wants constant attention. So I put him in the carrier and I'm like, I'm going to unload the dishwasher. And be like, no, thank you.
So you can't actually do things whilst holding him. You have to talk to him or be with him.
So yeah, I'd hear like other mums talking about their Velcro babies, and I'm like, yeah, but I heard you unloaded the dishwasher today. Or like, I'm sorry,
that's not a real Velcro
did you
baby.
bake some cookies? Because we are living in different worlds right now. So yeah, that Mum Bloom then actually became a little project for me that I had something to do with, because the time I had was basically on my phone when I was out walking him, or I'd be in bed with him, because we ended up co-sleeping from the beginning. Again, not like out of choice. We put him in a cot a few times, and again, he's like, no.
They've definitely made the rules, that's for sure.
It was honestly like, this sounds so naive now, but it was such a surprise to me that babies like have a will of their own. I was just like, we put him in the cot, we put him down, we just do our things. I'm like, oh, okay, he's got an opinion about this.
And also you don't want to be fighting it all the time. Sometimes you just got to do what works and makes it a bit easier for you.
Yeah, like after a few nights of like really persistently trying to get him in the cot, I'm like, well, we've got to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it meant I had a lot of time kind of sitting up in bed with my phone trying to stay awake. So Mum Bloom almost became a project that was kind of like, what can I do with this time? And I actually felt like it was something really nice for me to work on, so I wasn't all in like baby zone the whole time. So, because I know a lot of people talk about losing their identity after having a baby, and the transition wasn't so massive for me because I've got 2 stepsons already, but I do think that was part of it as well, that I had this thing to work on, and like my mind is just always racing all the time, so it felt like I had somewhere to channel that. So that has been good, but it is a bit tricky now when like my husband and I do like solo evenings every week. A couple of nights of the week we'll each take a solo evening, and the other person will sort out all the kids and everything. And it is always like an agonising choice for me, right? Do I go to the gym and do something that will like make me feel better? Or do I go to oh yeah, that's the other choice. Do I go to bed
on my own?
Or do I, go to a pub, get my Coke Zero and get my laptop and try and crack on with work? And that is like 9 times out of 10, that's what I end up doing, because that's the thing I feel most anxious about, is like, I need to get some more work done. But I do have to make myself sometimes like, no, go and move your body a bit, or actually go to sleep for once. You keep complaining about being tired. Why don't you do something about it?
I think as well, that business you've set up has such strong values behind it that sometimes it probably doesn't necessarily feel like you're working, because it's something you really believe in. And
totally.
Passion project.
Yeah, totally. I think quite manipulatively, I call it work when I am trying to make myself look really good, and when I'm, arguing with my husband, like, I'm trying to do work and I need more time to do it. But often, like, I do think of it as a hobby in some way. Like, it is a passion project, totally. Like, it came about because I feel really strongly about it, but also I really enjoy the process of building something, of like creating, I guess, this sort of digital product marketplace, like actually physically building something and speaking. Like I've met so many incredible people through it. So this kind of little community I've got now. Like I love kind of going online and chatting to people there, and
people have their different ways of being creative, don't they? So like some people like to paint, some people knit. You like to create a business.
100%
and I'm a little bit like that, I think, as well. I couldn't be sort of like sitting around doing knitting or something like that, but creating something that you can do something with.
I think it's just like having something to show for it, isn't it? And I love when I feel like I have made something, like if I worked on a bit of the website or something, and it sounds so silly, but like I go to bed and the next morning I remember that I've done it. I'm like, oh, I want to look at that again. I'm like excited to see it again. Like that looks so good. Like I think the last thing I did that with was honestly a footer menu on the website, and it would be so boring to anyone else, but I like spent so long on it and I'd waited so long to do it that genuinely the next morning I'm like, oh yeah, oh no, that's nice. Well done, Sus.
I looked at the website yesterday, not for the first time, and I love it. I think it's great. I love the logo and everything. It's really nice.
I tell you what, that is, do you know Fiverr, the freelance platform? A chap called Rahit on Fiverr.
Oh, wow.
He was fantastic. Wow. It was really good. I kind of sent like a board of different things I like. And to credit my brother as well, he kind of did 90% of it. And then I was like, oh, I feel too bad going back with even more amends. And I was like, I kind of want this. So I sent it over to my brother, like, you know how to do Illustrator. Can you sort this out?
Oh, nice.
That's good. But I do feel like there's some things like that which actually feel like really big milestones where you're like, okay, I've got some proper branding. This started like a thing that I was just having a little joke and pretending to do, and like almost feels like play. And I'm like, oh, this is real. Like I've got a business account and like
really
all this stuff where you kind of
really
becomes a real thing.
Yeah. And you said that your son is 1, is that right?
Yeah.
And how old are your stepsons?
9 and 11.
Wow. So you really do have a lot going on.
Oh my goodness, it's mad. But in a way, like, I don't know, there's pros and cons to everything, aren't there? Like they look after him as well. So we have a bit more, I don't think I could handle having a baby and a toddler. I know a lot of people do that. I think I look at them like, how?
Yeah.
How are you doing this? I don't think I could have the patience for that. But I will say logistically, it's quite difficult with kids of different ages because I mean, all 3 of them are at different like schools or nurseries and in different towns as well.
Gosh.
So our drop off and pick up arrangements and with all the clubs and everything, it's just insane.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Someone did say that to me actually, because I'm the same. Like I've only got one child, he's 5, and I always thought, when he was a toddler, I couldn't imagine having another baby right now. I just don't understand how people do it. But then people said to me, well, they're younger, you kind of go through the same phases together, they like the same things, they watch the same things on TV even. And now I kind of realise that because I'm like, if I did have another one, you're in that dilemma, totally different experiences, one's at school, one's at nursery, here, there, everywhere. So
I mean, there's no easy time, is there? But it's just hard in different ways. But I was talking to someone yesterday who didn't have children, who was saying about it's just like, it just seems like it's really hard. Everything I see is really hard. And I was like, it is really hard, but it's much easier to articulate all the hard bits. What's harder to articulate is like the absolute magic that comes with it. And that's why, although we're all whinging all the time because it's really, really hard, none of us would trade it. But the level of cuteness and magic just kind of goes up with the level of hard. So the more magic you want, the more hard you have to put up with.
Very true. That's very true. And it's the love, I think, you can never describe to someone either. Like there's just unconditional love. And how do you describe that and all the good things and the magic that comes with it? I don't know how you do.
It's bizarre. Like this blew my mind during pregnancy as well, because I had like the world's suckiest pregnancy and I like was miserable for quite a lot of it. But I would also tell anyone, even at the time, that I loved pregnancy. And it's so hard to reconcile those two things because
it's like your hormones are going, you love this, you love this, you'll do it again one day, you'll love this.
It's not even like mentally I was in a great place at the time. And also physically, it was just all a bit of a disaster. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, this is the most magic thing in the world. And like, I missed it afterwards. And like to any sane person, you try and explain that, they're like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
It's incredible though what the human body can do to like actually give life like that. It's amazing.
Yeah. I think that's just like confronting that every day was what was like can get you through so much because it was just blowing my mind every day. I would love to be, I don't think I could go through pregnancy again, like just the hardness of it. But also I so want to be pregnant again. I so want to give birth again, because I'm like, it's like the most magical, like otherworldly time of life.
Yeah. It's always funny as well, like no matter how bad some of the experiences are that people have had, they do often do it again. So it can't really be that bad.
It's bad, but then it's over and you're like, I could do this again.
You forget, I think, as well.
I think it's the hormones.
3 times might be a glutton for punishment,
I blame the hormones. Yeah, maybe.
So you do have a lot going on. Are there any systems, routines, or boundaries that have helped you kind of make that blend work?
I honestly don't. I know you sent me some questions in advance. I don't know if you sent me this one, because my honest answer to this is
no.
I'm not sure I am making it work. But I feel like maybe that's the big secret of motherhood, that are any of us making this work? We're
making it as you go along.
We're all winging it. We're all choosing. I saw an amazing quote the other day about, I'm not going to be able to repeat it now, but it's something like, no one is like succeeding in motherhood. We're all just picking what thing we're going to fail at that week and just rotating which thing we fail at. I so think that's true. I don't think anyone else is, maybe some people secretly are, but yeah, I think
I'm yet to meet that person.
Getting done what you can get done. So yeah, I don't feel like I've got many systems that are keeping anything working, but I would say job number 1 is keep my child alive. We've succeeded on that so far.
Success.
Yeah. Stay employed if I can. That's a good one. And try and keep a business move. I think when you like boil it down to the absolute basics, and then I'm like, okay, what do I absolutely have to do today? And then be really, really ruthless with that, because especially I think when your brain is really, really cluttered with stuff, it's so I'm terrible for having a to-do list that's like 50 things long. And I get to the end of the day and I'm like, well, actually, I decided to do some other stuff anyway. I didn't do anything on that list.
I'm like that, but then I have to put the things that I have done on my to-do list so I can tick them off.
Yes, 100. Because otherwise I'm like, well, I was really busy today, but I don't know what I did.
Where's the
nothing on my list?
Yeah, it's really frustrating. So I do try and be really ruthless now with what is a good day today? And maybe a good day is that, I've got these couple of things done at work, and then I spend an hour on Mum Bloom, and I plan what our next social media post is going to be, or I add one new listing to the site. And then I will have another list of I keep a massive long running list of, if I get time or I'm really on a roll, you can dip into stuff here. But otherwise, I just
the expansion list.
Oh my, and
I call it, I think it's projects for when I have time.
Yeah.
Which is never.
But it's nice to have there, isn't it? I do sometimes, if I'm up in the middle of the night for some reason, he got up and then I couldn't get back to sleep, I'm like, all right, let's have a little look at the list. See if we can knock anything off there. But no, normally I just kind of think I am in a season of life where I will do everything I can, and I am not going to kick myself for not being able to do anything else.
Yeah, and that's important as well. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think the biggest lessons are that you've learned from building your own business?
So much. I would say, I think I probably went into it a bit naively. I think, okay, maybe this is going to be this sounds like an oxymoron, but I think part of it is anyone can do it. And the biggest barrier to overcome for me was just starting. And I think for a lot of people it's just starting. And I think the thing that helped me was just being really sleep deprived, honestly. And I was really uninhibited because of sleep deprivation. I'm pretty sure that was it. I'm sure I was less inhibited while I was on maternity leave, and I just felt like, let's go for it. Because I, knowing what I'm like normally, I think usually I would have been too scared to do that. So I think that going for it at the beginning is the hard part, and anyone can make that decision to do that if they've got an idea to do something. I think lots of people think they don't have ideas as well. And probably if they wrote down all their thoughts over the course of the day, there are ideas in there. So that's the first thing, is actually how incredibly accessible it is. And I've also come across so many tools and so many people and resources that do help people who don't have that experience, that makes it, I think it's more accessible now than it ever has been, especially with AI tools. I am quite conscious about how I use AI, but I think one of the amazing things about it is that there are tools that now make entrepreneurship more accessible for normal people than it ever has been, which I think is quite exciting because it's not just going to be people with
lots
connections
of money
or who've all done MBAs or stuff. So we should start seeing businesses from all sorts of more kind of varied and diverse people. So I think that's a really great thing. But also there are so many schemes now and grant funds and entrepreneurship programs for women especially, but often, people who don't have that experience, and I've really benefited from some of those. So the first thing I would say is it is more accessible than I thought. But then the second slightly opposite thing is it's also so much harder than I thought. I think I was just a bit naive about, right, well, you can just make a thing and then people will find your website and then they'll buy the thing. And what's been really interesting for me is this kind of whole idea of product market fit, which I think was probably a phrase I'd never heard before I started a business. And now I kind of get into all these, startup podcasts and forums and stuff. And which I wouldn't say we've quite found yet, because it's this like slightly strange thing of when you're pursuing a new idea and you have all these people who look like they're going to be your target audience say, I love this, I really like this, I want this, and then don't buy it. And you're like, there's a disconnect there. And I don't think the audience know what that disconnect is. And you kind of have to be quite like clinical, picking things apart and trying to solve this puzzle of, right, what is going to block someone from using this product? Is it the right product? Do I need to be offering something different? And, what does the viable business in here look like? And I feel like you get so much more into human psychology than I ever expected. So it's been so much more interesting than I ever realized, but I was definitely naive about kind of thinking that you just put something on offer and people buy it and that's
find you.
And I'm sure it does work like that for some people when they kind of happen on a product that is just the right thing in just the right market. But I think for the most part, it's not by accident.
So have you had to develop sort of new skills and stuff then? It's like you said there, I've not heard the phrase, I'd say product
market fit.
Right.
But basically this idea that you find an audience and a product that perfectly go together, and you kind of know you've got there when if you're having to really, really push your sales, you've probably not got there because you're trying to persuade people who aren't really sure they want to buy it. But you sometimes will find a product in a market that just sort of goes. And I think so what I'm working on at the moment is kind of seeing two parts of it. And one part of it is actually trying to make a product that is what people say they want and kind of matches how they think about buying. So looking at what do people buy for their friends when they become mums or when they're, different milestones in motherhood, what occasions do they buy for, and like what are their buying habits, how much do they spend. But the other side of it is, okay, this is maybe a different way of gifting, so can we drive that consumer behavior a bit? Because I think if you look at obviously sort of big Silicon Valley startups, but like Airbnb or Uber, when they started, like it's such an interesting idea. And I think some people would have said, yeah, okay, I can see that working, but we probably all would have had a bit of a hesitation to go and stay in someone else's house or just get in a car with someone. So they also had a job to kind of try and drive a change in consumer behavior. So I think it's partly trying to understand consumers and partly seeing, can we actually try and influence you to buy this in a different way, which is the education piece you're talking about.
Yeah, definitely it is, because it's making people realise this is a good gift to buy when they're so used to buying other things.
Yes, totally. That's where I think... this is another thing. I guess I've worked in sales and marketing, but maybe not on sort of the comms side of marketing. And the last few years I've worked in PR. But what I haven't really done is kind of the whole social marketing, paid media marketing, and so much of like what I'm doing with Mumbloom now is around that and trying to learn what content resonates with people, but especially if you're trying to change their behavior and how they buy, what is going to make that change? And I think a lot of it is just about social proof and seeing what other people do. And, you see a lot of newer companies will have I actually follow some of them now just so I can see their adverts, and I've really kind of got into their buying funnel with all their I'm getting all their marketing. But it's so interesting to see, like, they'll have UGC videos where it's just a person talking to camera talking about their product.
Yeah.
And I'll be scrolling through my Instagram stories, and the same company, I will get like 10 different videos from different people of just like very authentic, oh, this product changed, blah, 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 for me. And it's so persuasive. And at the moment that seems to really work.
Yeah.
But then also it changes like every few months, every year, the way people consume content. So it is, it's a lot to learn, and you have to be quite fast learning it, I think, because it's always changing.
It changes so much, doesn't it? Yeah, it's difficult.
What have been the pivotal or defining moments that have shaped your professional journey so far?
So I think a lot of it is just the little moments where I've kind of felt like, oh, this is real. So probably the first time I started getting sellers on board. So I think we've got 30, 35 sellers on board. I call them the mum support crew.
Yeah.
But basically, they're local businesses who sell their services on Mum-Bloom, and they're all sort of vetted and curated so that they're just the right things. And, you know, mums aren't having to go through and search through a million different cleaners. We said, this is a great cleaner for you. Here you go. But when it started, with kind of less inhibitions than I usually have, but still a bit of imposter syndrome, just started emailing out to some of these sellers, some of whom whose reputations had preceded them, whose friends had recommended them.
Yep.
But, you know, I didn't know. And I was just kind of sending emails like, so I'm doing this business. It doesn't really exist yet, but are you interested? And I think when I first started getting interest back, that was like, oh my goodness, this is real. Okay, we're doing this. Like, and other people have a stake in it now. I'm like, okay, there's a little bit of pressure now. This isn't like my little hobby that I do from my bedroom. There's real people involved in this. So I think the more that real people have got involved in it and it's started to feel a bit real, those have all felt like big milestones for me. And the first grant again was another one because I've met some great people through that as well. But I just applied for a grant through our local council, and they have sort of a business development team, and it was a really great process, and they were really, really helpful. And I was awarded one through that. And that was sort of the first thing like that I'd done. And it was the first real piece of external validation where someone was like, we're going to invest in you.
Yeah.
Growing. Was there a process you had to go through for that?
Yeah, it was really good actually, because I think that was probably before I'd ever done a sort of formal business plan or pitch or anything.
Yeah.
So I sort of had to write a whole pitch for that. So that was like a really useful exercise to do, and I've sort of done more since. But yeah, that was the first bit of external validation, I think.
Yeah.
And then, along the way, it's just been all these little bits where I just try, and I think my sort of personal insight from very early on was that I think the difference between people who have very successful businesses and where it doesn't work is, yes, a good idea and well executed. Obviously, that's important. But I also think overwhelmingly it's confidence, believing in what you're doing, taking every opportunity and looking for every opportunity, and then just having some resilience and persistence to keep going with it, even when you're feeling a bit like can't be bothered with this. So I have, like, in the spirit of that, tried to just, every time it's felt like there's been a bit of an opportunity, see like, right, what can I do with this? So like on that first grant that I applied for, one of the judges was from a kind of local investment firm. So a few months later, I went back to her and was like, hey, can we have a catch up and, see if there's anyone in your network I can chat to? And ended up knowing that I'm not at a point where I'm looking to go to a VC and ask for investment, but I thought it would be great to speak to a VC and someone who's kind of done some of this stuff before and just find out a bit more. And so that was another one where I'm like, out of this like little seed of just a local grant thing, I've ended up meeting like this kind of big shot investor and getting some really useful kind of advice that I can work with. And
amazing.
So I think there's been all sorts. I don't know that I've had any real kind of transformational milestone moments, but it's just all these little bits of kind of taking opportunities where I can. And then sometimes I pause and I'm like, oh, I ended up meeting a really cool person because of that, or this cool thing happened.
And actually making that time almost to look back at that journey and reflect on some of that stuff, because you don't realise half the time how far you've come.
Do you know, I didn't think to look at it before this, but I kept a what's it called? The notes app on your phone. And I've kept in it like achievements along the way because, and especially like at the beginning, I'm like, do you know what? I'm not really measuring achievements in sales because I don't think we're at the point yet where it's really taking off and people are buy. But I do consider some of those things achievements where, you know, the first time it was in the local newspaper or the first time I went on the radio or I met someone or like all of that stuff. And like, okay, this is sort of different ways to measure achievements and milestones. And it's all cool things that I've got out of this experience. And honestly, if the whole thing flopped today, I would look back at this and be like, I'm proud of myself for going for it. And just, I can see that cool things happened just from saying yes to things and looking for open doors.
Oh, I love that. It's like a little scrapbook of things that you're proud of, which is really good to have.
Totally. Yeah,
that is great.
And I always like, you talk about like grit there, the grit that you need to just like keep going, even when it feels hard. And I always find the visuals where I think it's like people like walking upstairs and they keep failing and it's like you're closer to your goals than you realise. So you just have to keep going.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Because honestly, I am a bit of a weapon for starting things. And like I would say I have a lot of hobbies that I pick up and then a couple of weeks later, like, nah, that's all right. So I love a new hobby. So it's almost kind of becoming a like point of pride that I'm like, this is not going to be a thing that I give up on. I'm like so all in on this. And but I also think it helps where it comes. It's not just, oh, I'm going to start a business today. It starts from like a conviction and a fire in your belly that is like, I really want to do something about this. I think there's a problem that needs changing.
Definitely.
How do you think becoming a mum changed how you see yourself, and anything like change your priority? Like, did any of that changed your priorities or your confidence in yourself? And you know, with Mum Bloom and everything as well.
Yeah, I definitely think it has made me more confident because I do think it gives you a bit more perspective, and I think it also gives you permission to be disagreeable sometimes. I think I was probably pre-motherhood, maybe agreeable to a fault. And sometimes I thought, Susie, you need to have a little bit more backbone and actually say when you disagree with something. And of course, when you've got a child, you are always going to put their best interests at heart. And if that might mean kind of speaking up against something or against someone. So I think that starts to get a little bit easier. That makes me sound like I've been really argumentative since, I give the nursery staff a nightmare. And yeah, I do think I found just a bit of general confidence from this, I think having more of a sense of what matters to me and what doesn't matter to me. And I'm, okay, well, I've got this thing that I know is number one priority now, and I'm probably not going to sweat all the tiny stuff now. And I think also working out the difference between like being really, really diligent with something, but also like being so invested in it that you're panicking. And I think going back to work in my employed job is like really finding that balance of I want to go back and be so diligent and do such a good job when I'm there, but it also is not a bigger priority than my family. And I do have to have boundaries around it. And I don't want to be going home with my mind racing through all of that stuff. So it has been a really interesting lesson in prioritizing and setting boundaries, because I think that's the only way that you can stay sane doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think has been your biggest challenge so far as a working mum and a parent to a 1-year-old?
Oh, I mean, like all of it.
Everything.
Everything is not sleeping. Probably going back to work, honestly. I mean, just from like a motherhood perspective, I found all of it really, really challenging. And that was what started it, was just that like humbling moment of being like, oh, this is what you guys were all doing? Like, I feel like no one was complaining as much as I expected them to, given how hard this is.
Why didn't anyone tell me?
Yeah. But I know people say it was hard. And I was like, this?
Yeah.
But going back to work was, I guess, like the type of hard changes all the time. So I know when he first started going to nursery, I was like, it's mixed feelings because I'm separated from him. But also that was the first time I had any time separate. So I'm like, okay, this is a bit nice. And like going back to work, there is some of that. And, you know, working in an office, I'm like, okay, I get to be me. There's some really nice things to this.
Talk to adults.
Yes. Yeah. All of that. Like, I absolutely love spending time around my son, but I can't stay at home with him for a day. It's, you know, it's a lot of the same games over and over, isn't it? And so, but I think the really hard thing at the moment is definitely just the pure clutter in my brain. I really struggle with that. And I think, like, from a productivity standpoint, when you have that time pressure, because you know I've only got, you know, half an hour between finishing work and picking him up from nursery, and I've got this stuff that I want to do on it. And almost that pressure can stop you, I think, sometimes, where I'm like, okay, I've got this, and this to do. So, and you end up spending half an hour trying to work out what to do.
Where to start.
And oh my goodness, it drives me mad when and I'm so annoyed with myself when I do that. So I think that is the hard bit, is just that switch between, okay, going from one job to another, and I'm going from parenting, and actually I want to be a present parent. And of course, I know, like, I'm so forgetful. So I think of something to do with Mum Bloom when I'm with the baby, and like, oh, okay, I need to write that down. I need to do something about it. I'm like, I need to be with him.
It's so hard, isn't it? Yeah. I find that my phone diary has just become like a block of all these different reminders and stuff. Because there happens to be things pop into my head, and I'm like, I need to write this down because I will not remember. Yeah. So I like go into my diary, type it in to remind me tomorrow at 9 a.m. or something like that.
Do you ever do it with Siri, where you're like, set me a reminder for this? Yeah. But my Siri sucks at understanding my voice. So I have so many reminders in my phone where I'm like, what was that? And it would just be some unrecognizable word. I had one once that I was like, gosh, I got to delete this in case like the police find it. I can't remember what the reminder was, but Siri wrote down something like set fire. I'm like, no, that's not what I was trying to tell you.
Oh no. That's not that helpful though, because then you don't remember what it was you wanted to do.
I have one that I've had for like 2 years, and it's every Saturday lunchtime. And I don't know what the original reminder was, but it just says get llama. And I just think it's really funny. So I keep it. I just say like, completed, remind me next week. And every Saturday, like, get llama. I don't know what it was.
You tick it off though, so it feels good. Do you ever feel guilt about your work-life balance? And if so, how do you handle that guilt?
Oh yeah, all the time. I think I do, but it's almost like a sort of instinctive, visceral reaction. And when I think about it, I mostly don't feel guilty. Like, if I've been out for a really long time and I kind of feel like I don't like him being away from me that long, then I will a bit then. But otherwise, I tend to think, well, I'm trying to make this so that in the future we might have a bit more freedom and flexibility. Yeah. And, you know, I'm doing it for a reason. I'm doing it because it's something I believe in. And also, I just think it's so important for kids to see you as a person and not just a mother. And I know, like, we all talk about that a lot now, and we all talk about how we want to raise our kids, and, you know, we're raising boys. And I'm like, okay, if I think about how I want to raise a boy, and if he chooses to be a partner in the future for someone, then just like, I don't want to be seen as a servant or, you know, nothing outside of being a mother. I think it's really important that he sees that modeled, so that when he sees women or potential partners or whoever it is, he kind of, you know, knows that everyone is a person, everyone gets to, you know, pursue their own ambitions. And, you know, we will, I think that's not to say, like, I won't make sacrifices for the family and I won't give up work sometimes for the family. But I kind of hope that he will see a balance from both me and my husband of, we do consider each other, we make sacrifices for one another and for the family, and we also pursue our ambitions and encourage each other to do that.
Great role models.
Yeah, it's a great mindset to have, because I think really the guilt comes from the expectation that is set on us from society, from others, from ourselves. So actually, if you can change your mindset to be like, well, I'm doing this for a good reason, then that really helps.
And it's actually important that your kids see you doing that work. And of course, you don't want to be the parent who's like, oh, well, I never ever saw them, and, you know, saw them for an hour at the weekend or something. But I think often, like, you speak to kids who've got parents who have had really amazing careers or built businesses, and, like, they're so proud talking about them.
Yeah.
And actually, like, thinking about my own parents, they weren't absent parents by any stretch of the imagination. They were awesome parents, but they did work really, really hard. And especially as we got older, they started to work longer hours, only when we could, like, manage it. But I think that firstly, that was sort of something we looked on and thought, oh, that's like a desirable thing to do. We want to work hard and like we can see the benefit in that. But also like we were so proud of seeing them and like telling other people how hardworking our parents are and the things that they achieved. So I think, it's easy to feel bad for going out to work, but I don't think it serves anyone for us to be sitting at home waiting on children hand on foot all the time.
They don't grow up to be good people if you end up waiting on them
if
all
people
time.
choose to be stay-at-home mums, I think that's absolutely fine, and that's different because that doesn't, like, you still don't need to be waiting on them all the time.
Exactly.
The idea is like, I just don't want to teach my children that they have servants.
Exactly.
Definitely.
What's a story that captures the weight of your, like, the invisible load that you have in every day?
Ooh, okay. I feel like I have to think about this because there must be so many, like, I'm not even sure stories. I think probably just all these micro moments where, do you know what instantly comes to mind is all the times going to the loo with a baby. I do remember when, and again, I'm really not trying to throw shade on my husband, who is awesome, but when he was at home with the baby one day and he hands him over to me and was like, I've got to go to the loo. And I'm like, and like, what's your point? What should I do? So, but I think there's been so many moments where it's like trying to do two things at once with the baby, whether that's home life and the baby or work. And I would tell you another, which is, these are all embarrassing ones. I'm sure you knew you were going to get embarrassing ones. This was at work a couple of weeks ago, and I had decided to take the pump. So I find it hard to pump. This is probably TMI for a podcast. Don't have very strong letdowns. So pumping is hard. And I have to like properly be watching videos of my son or like pictures and to like really make it come. And like to the point where I'll be crying now, like, come on, milk. So I had for once taken the pump to work because I knew it was going to be a long day at work. And like after lunch, I was like, right, I've got a meeting with the MD in an hour, so I'm going to pump now. So I go into this private room, I start pumping, and then I get this like Teams notification saying, oh, you've got a meeting. Oh, crap, okay.
That's not going to help.
So it's not going to help. So I join this meeting and I'm like on camera, like from the head up, and you can just hear like, they're
so noisy.
You all ignore that. And I was like, we're all in the office. Should we meet in person? I'm like, maybe not. Okay. I'll stay in this room. You guys all meet, okay?
I'll be there soon.
I wouldn't have minded, but I felt like other people were weird about it. So I was like, I'll stay down here. But people keep asking me questions in this meeting and I've got the camera there and then I've got my phone here with a video of my son. I'm like, come on, I really need to have a letdown. And you're telling me about like AI adoption in the business or something. And I'm trying to have like coherent thoughts on that.
Gosh.
So I get through this meeting and manage to like have a bit of milk. And at least enough that I'm not so engorged that I can go into the meeting with the MD next. But I have no break between the meetings. So I've just got like my notebook and laptop and this bag of milk. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to like put this on the table here and then sneak around to this meeting. So it's there in like this communal area downstairs. Have our meeting. And then like I'm halfway home. I'm on the M25. I'm like, crap.
Oh no.
There's a bag of boob milk in like the communal area downstairs.
Oh no.
Someone put it in their tea.
That's what I was worried about. And like if someone doesn't, I feel sure someone is going to see this pouch and be like, don't touch it, baby. But I don't know, not everyone knows what a breast milk bag looks like. So I'm like, oh, it's a spare milk.
I feel like the most annoying thing though is losing that milk when it's so hard sometimes to get as well. You're like,
I worked hard for that. So yeah, I did, because it had been out for a while. Obviously, I was like, we need to throw that away. But I phoned someone who, lovely person who's kind of a friend, not like a really close best friend though, who I would, share breastfeeding stories with probably. But anyway, very kind person who I phoned and was like, okay, this is going to be a bit of an odd request, but can you go downstairs please and just find this milk and throw it away?
Oh, crikey.
I'm sure so many people have been there though.
Yeah.
There's so many challenges around like breastfeeding and returning to work though. Definitely.
Yeah, totally.
So hard. My little boy went to nursery at 5 months and I breastfed him. And at that point, I was like, I'm not going to be able to feed him all the time. So he's going to have to start having my breast milk in a bottle. And do you remember, like, I really struggled to get him to take my breast milk out of a bottle. He would not take it. So in the end, I had to start giving him formula in the bottle because for whatever reason, he would have the formula in a bottle.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, really weird.
He knew that it was your milk and was like, this is not the right tap that it's coming from.
How dare you? Amazing. So you said you're raising sons. Raising boys. When you think about the kind of men they will become, what values do you hope they hold?
Oh, do you know what? I think about this so much, actually. There's so much that I think about, I guess, from my journey becoming a mother. Like, there's lots of stuff like, I want them to be feminists. I want them to take care of women and all of that. But I also want them, I think, it's hard because often the way we talk about feminism, a lot of the stuff I see then I think sometimes goes a bit too far and is kind of, all men are rubbish. And I mean, my poor husband, definitely, I had some real kind of hormonal mood changes in pregnancy and postpartum. And for me, the way it manifested mostly was not like I feel a bit down. It was mostly my husband is terrible. And like objectively, he absolutely was not. But I would look like he would make one small mistake and my crazy hormones would be like, okay, this is it's a pattern. And it's, he's clearly the worst husband in the world. And bless him, he put up with all of this because he obviously just knew, like, okay, I kind of need to ride this out because she's gonna.
That's menopause as well, isn't it?
I was just about to say,
that's coming back round at some point.
So not ready.
It does come back round.
Well, I'm worried about stopping breastfeeding for this reason as well, because I'm not ready for any more hormonal changes, and my husband sure as hell is not ready for more hormonal changes. But I think actually, since that's kind of leveled out a bit, like finding this balance where I can recognize that I have needs that need to be met and sometimes aren't always met, but also that he has challenges and that things are hard for him. And, just saying, well, it's unfair for me and men need to support and suck it up doesn't really help anyone very much.
There's huge pressures on like what masculinity is, I think, from society that really needs changing as well, because it's hard to be a mum because we're now expected to work and parent, and we still take on so much of the care load and the mental responsibility. But I feel like men feel like they would be judged by trying to take on more of that role.
Yeah.
So there's so much, I think, that needs to change over time.
I think so. I do think we've seen some of that change recently, and some of the stuff I see with my husband and friends' husbands, where I think, actually, this thing that you probably just did as sort of second nature, I can imagine like a generation or two generations before would have seemed like a strange thing to do or to be involved with. So
I feel like it wasn't that long ago, that men would go to the pub when their wives were in labour.
Yeah.
Like, I have heard stories.
Yeah,
of that,
totally. So. Yeah. So yeah, even the fact that I don't think it would have crossed my husband's mind or most male partners' minds now that I'm not going to be there during late. Yeah, totally. So yeah, I think part of it is definitely trying to work out what that positive masculinity is, that you are present, but you're also trying to I don't try and say that men and women are exactly the same in every way, and it might be that whatever your kind of future life looks like, you will have different roles to someone in your household, but that is you do have to do that in a fair and respectful way, and not you are not going to live with a servant. And I think the other thing that if there's one lesson I really, really want to instill in my son, it's not a lesson actually, but I really want him to have some inner confidence. I think that is probably the most useful thing that you could go through life with. And I don't really mean an ego or this idea that he's really great at things, but just a quiet confidence where he doesn't feel like he needs to be great at things
or please everybody,
or please everyone, and can set boundaries for himself. But I also think that just enables you to have make more positive relationships as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I just, in every aspect of life, I think having a quiet but strong and resilient confidence is going to make you more successful. You're going to be more able to succeed and oh my goodness, so much. Yeah. I kind of want that like slightly more peaceful, easier life for him, of just like not having this constant worry and anxiety and pressure.
Just to be themselves and be confident in themselves and enjoy them being themselves.
So I don't know how to instill that in him. So if you've got any ideas.
I think we're all trying. All trying. But
yeah, that and really good social skills as well. I think if I think about setting him up for success, obviously I want him to try hard in school and whatever. But I do think if he can be at peace with himself and, you know, learn some good social skills, you're going to get through life pretty well like that, and hopefully have some really positive relationships. Like that would be the main thing I hope for him.
Amazing.
What do you hope other people can learn from your story?
I definitely think I would love people. I think like when I show up on Instagram, it's very chaotic, and like I really think, well, I was going to say, I really think I look like a real person. I'm not even sure I look like a real person, because I think most people see it and I'm like, I'm not as chaotic as that. But, but I hope that people see it and I'm like, okay, well, if she can just go and do something, I guess any of us can go and do something. Because I think especially for, I don't know if it's just a female thing, but I definitely have a lot of female friends and who have great ideas, who are really, really competent people, who end up in careers or sort of pursuing things that aren't really their passion, or they're just not that invested in, because they're just a little bit afraid of doing something different. And like it's so easy to be, because like it is just so hard to
break the rat race.
As well. And I mean, just like financially, when you have to cover childcare and everything, like it can feel like there's no way out, which is, I guess, why maternity leave does give you a bit of cover there, which is
true.
One thing. But I mean, it might not be building a business. It could be, I just think there is so much within us that probably if you give yourself a bit of freedom to look a bit silly and not mind if something fails, I think most people would be surprised about where that takes them.
Yeah, I love that. Get some courage. Find your inner courage.
I think so. And it's hard, and you do have to keep doing it as well, because I found it easier at the beginning, because I think when Rue was really little, I probably cared less about what people thought, and I think I would say my normal self has come back a bit, and I like, you know, I post on Instagram, I'm like, oh, it's really embarrassing. Like I don't want to do like talking to camera or something, but I do think you have to sort of choose that every time you show up doing something, and like kind of tell yourself, you know what, a lot of the people who succeed in doing whatever it is they choose to do are the people who don't mind being a beginner or looking a bit stupid.
And we were talking about this on the train, being comfortable with being unliked. Like, does it matter if everyone likes you? It doesn't matter.
Oh gosh, I still find it so hard, but
you see, you get to 50 and you don't care that nobody likes you, or you know, you just get to that point like, I don't care. I wish I told more people to do one sort of thing throughout my whole life, rather than just pleasing everybody and trying to please everybody and
or
being
holding yourself
friend.
back because you're too afraid to do the things that you would enjoy.
Just be
it's
yourself.
Such a revelation, honestly, that like you don't have to please everyone.
Yeah. Who told us we had to please everyone? Why do we feel like we have to please everyone?
Yeah, I'm so bad for it though. I'm such a like pick me girl. I'm like, do you know, every time I have to talk to the nursery about something where I think they might disagree, or like just ask them something, or be like, oh, why has he got a bump on his head or something? Like I get nervous because I'm like, but I want to be their favourite parent, and if they think that I'm grumpy, like, and I'll like listen to myself thinking about it. I'm like, why am I like this? Like,
I am
does
exactly
it matter?
the same. I'll be like, I'm really sorry. I've not done anything wrong. I'm really, really sorry.
I'm always telling her off for being like that.
You know, like in a restaurant as
apologise
well.
if you've done nothing wrong.
Yeah, you get the wrong meal or something, come out and you're like, I'm really sorry. This isn't what I ordered.
I'm like, I don't want to just not inconvenience you. I want you to go home and tell whoever you live with, like, saw the nicest customer today. She really made my day better. I'm like, come on, you do not need to please people this much.
Yeah, brilliant. Have I got the final question?
You have got the final question.
I've got a final question for you. Fast forward to the future. Your children are all grown up and telling your story. What do you hope they all say about you?
Oh Oh, that's so hard. I feel like emotional just thinking about that.
Sorry.
I feel emotional thinking about both the children grown up, but also the idea that like they'd be talking about me.
You.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I would just like them to kind of, obviously, I would love for them to be kind of looking at Mum Bloom, this wildly successful thing that made a big impact to mothers everywhere, and be like, that's my mum that did that. And like, she just kind of had this idea and went for it. But even if, you know, it doesn't become kind of that massive UK-wide thing that, you know, does exactly what I want it to, I do hope they kind of look back, and I think the thing I would want them to see out of both me and their dad, because this is like one of the main things I love about their dad, is be like, they're triers, like they're real triers, and that's what I want to do. Like that is a quality that I love in another person. It's like, you're not, I don't, you know, if I see someone kind of being a bit cynical and like half-assing things, I'm like, I can't warm to that. I love someone who goes for it, even if like it's a bit hard or they look a bit or feel a bit stupid with it. Like someone who dusts himself off and keeps getting back up. I hope that is what the boys all look back and are like, yeah, they all kind of really went for it and they tried, and that kind of makes me want to try.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's a really great.
That's really nice.
Yeah, really
brilliant.
Nice.
Well, thank you very much for today. You've been a great guest.
Yeah,
it's been a really good conversation. And thank you so
chat.
much for joining us and coming today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And good luck with Mum Bloom.
Thank you. Well,
there is something called Gift of the Year. Perhaps you should look into that and see if you can get yours as the Gift of the Year.
I haven't heard of that. That's bad. I feel like I should know about all of these things that
I think it's the stationery show that runs it. Or they have it within their sort of like when they do their trade shows and things. Yeah. But it's called Gift of the Year, so have a look into that.
Okay, I'm going to have a look.
Great stuff. And
Thank
thanks
you so much.